All right, and we're recording. What's going on, YouTube? It's Belton here. I recently leveled a new Amazon character. I just finished the 6 acts. Did a couple of Untainteds, got myself to level 82, and spent some time fiddling around on PoE, checking out some new items to try and put together a unique version of Lightning Spear, which 50% of the player base is currently playing right now. And so that's what I did, and I think I came up with a pretty interesting and unique take on the build. And so I'm going to share that with you guys and just what differs from mine from other ones, and maybe give some inspiration, some things you might agree with for your own version of the build here. So just looking over the PoB quickly here, you can see we've got 100% crit chance, 1017 crit multi. We've got res cap, about 2k life, 2k ES, and about 294 million DPS. And this is for a level 100 build here. We've also got 391 spirit and about 10k evasion. And so I'll take you through this here. What kind of differs from mine. Perhaps I'll get rid of that browser thing there so it doesn't pop up. What might be different. So for our version of the build, we're going to be using a triple fizz spike spear. Now spike spear is the best spear base for a rare. That is always the case. Seaglass is always inferior because, as you can see here, we are not using any, we're not using like potential, right? Which is the, where you have to consume a power charge to get 40% more, right? So we're not cheesing the crit with that. We're not using the one where it's like 60% more crit, but 30% less bonus, or the one where it's 100% more crit on the first strike. The only thing we have here amending our crit chance is the blind side. And you can still see we are at 100% crit chance. Now, if you take a look here, you'll see a spike spear, perfectly crafted, is 1046 PDPS, 11.5 base crit, and 2.05 attacks per second. Whereas a spike spear is 856 PDPS, 15% crit, and 2.05 attacks per second. So the exact same attacks per second. The crit is 3.5 higher. However, crit chance is hard capped. So if you see here, we have 294. If you put on Seaglass, that goes down to 259. We're switching it back to a spike spear. You can see that it's 13.5% more damage. So because crit chance has a hard cap, there's no marginal utility past 100%. Therefore, since there are, as evidenced by this, and without too much investment, to be honest, it's relatively easy to hit crit cap. In particular, if you're playing Amazon, and so Seaglass is inferior. Right, so that's the first thing. So we want to get a triple one there. Now, another thing too is that we're going to be doing some double dipping, as it were. Now, this is going to take a bit of an explanation, but in case you guys are unaware, in Path of Exile 2, the way that conversion works, if I have, like, let's say 1,000 fizz damage, right, and I have 100% fizz to lightning, it'll then become 1,000 lightning damage. In PoE 1, if I had 10% increased fizz damage, that would still apply to the fizz, and it would apply pre-conversion, and so it would also make it 1,100 lightning damage. In PoE 2, this is not the case. In PoE 2, it will only take the increases for your new damage type. So this is done, the conversion is done first, right? Now there's one exception to this, and that is max damage. So fizz damage, if it were 1,000 average fizz damage, let's say it represents itself as 500 to 1,500, right? So you 500 plus 1,500 divided by 2 is 1,000. All right, so this would be your minimum damage. This would be your maximum damage. Now, there are three things primarily that take advantage of max damage. They are the gem Heft. Supported skills deal 30% more maximum physical hit damage. Then you've got Wildstorm, 15% more maximum lightning damage. And you also have Ryathlas, which is, as a base, 40% more maximum physical attack damage, right? Now, if you have these, right, if you have 30% more from Heft, that goes from 500 to 1,500 to 500 to 1,950. And then if you have a double corrupted Ryathlas, like the one I have here, which is almost perfect, it has 47% more on the top end. So that would be 1950 times 1.47, which is 2867. And it also, we have it so that it makes us do less on the minimum side, but we have it 30 is the lowest roll, but we have it double corrupted to be only 26. So that'd be times 0.74. So So 500 times 0.74 is 370. 370. Oh. Oh, I must have, what is that, scroll lock? Whatever. Is it 6-7? Yeah, sorry, 6-7. 2867. All right. Now, what's when you look at let's say Lightning Spear has 100% of physical damage to lightning damage for the bolts. It's 80% on the original spear, but 100%. So we'll use that as an example, right? So now we're doing 370 to 2,867. So that would then get converted to lightning, right? And then after it's converted to lightning, we would also then get the 15% more from Wildstorm on the max end. So 2867 times 1.15, which is 3297. 370 to 3297, which then would be making our average damage plus 370 divided by 2, 1,833 average. Now, if you recall, previously we started off at just 1,000 average. So those three things working together is approximately 83% more damage. And this conversion only works on the max damage. So maximum damage will still work pre-conversion. I don't know why they decided to do that, but Heft, even if you do have 100% Fizz converted to Lightning, and Ryathlas, because it's also Fizz, it will do the maximum prior to converting, and it'll still work, despite the fact that they have changed how that operates here. But you'll notice now, though, that we have a pretty wide range, right? 370 to 3,297. And that's why we're going to pick up Lightning Rod. Because Lightning Rod was changed from last patch, where it was your non-crits were lucky. Now it's just 30% chance for lightning damage with hits to be lucky. So it has nothing to do with crit. So that means 30% of the time, it'll re-roll if, like, let's say it rolled in the range and it rolled 375, right? Because it could roll anywhere between 370 and 3297. Lucky would make it so that it rolls twice and it picks the higher of the two numbers, right? So 30% of the time it would do that. And since all of our damage is lightning, that'll give us the 30% chance to have a much higher outcome within that range there. So that's the one thing that we're taking advantage of there. And also, too, by being Amazon, by having a triple Fizz, we also get the accuracy from the hybrid also gets added as Fizz damage. Now, the next thing that we're doing that is rather unique is that we are using Spirit as our damage scaler. We are not using that little chicken claw that everyone's using. What's the name of it? The Spirit Scepter. And it is much, 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 much better with investment. What is the item, though? Scepter, Sacred Flame. So Sacred Flame makes it so that you get 60% of your damage as extra fire damage, gives you Purity of Fire. It also gives you 100 base Spirit, and it makes it so enemies in your presence resist elemental damage based on their lowest resistance. And it's a very good item, don't get me wrong. Now, what we're going to do instead is we're going to get the Threaded Light Woven Focus, and we're going to double corrupt it so that it goes to 15% spell damage per 10 Spirit. On top of that, we're going to get a Crown of Eyes with a 30 Spirit Corruption. We're also going to get a chest piece that has 61 Spirit, and then we're going to get a Solar Amulet with 15 Spirit here, and I haven't did the prefixes on this, but we'll get another 50 Spirit there. So that'll be 65 Spirit here, 95 Spirit, 156 Spirit, plus your 100 base, that's 256. And then we're also going to use Against the Darkness, where notable passives and radius also grant between 8 to 12 Spirit. This can actually be double corrupted to be 15. And we're going to put it right here. And we are going to get access to 9 notables within range. And that will give us, it's only 8 notables. 8 notables within range. That one doesn't reach. So 8 notables within range. So right here we would get 88 Spirit. Max roll, we would get 96. And max roll with Corrupted, we get 120 Spirit. So the highest that we can have on that would be 391 Spirit, as you can see, which with the shield, right? So that would be 39. And then for every 10, we get 15% spell damage. That's 585% increased spell damage. And then Crown of Eyes makes it so that that gets converted to all attack damage. So it's a global attack damage increase. To give you some indication as to how strong that is, if you look at the PoB here, right? If I take off, you can see our full DPS, 294 million. If I take off Crown of Eyes, 85 million. So Crown of Eyes gives us 245% more damage. Not to mention, it also allows us to get, when we're getting this notable here for the Against the Darkness, we also get an additional 56% spell damage there, which is nice. And we're going to pair the Spirit with extra damage extra as cold. You could also do damage as extra lightning if you want to. Obviously, it's pure lightning in that respect, but doing it as extra as cold does mean that you'll be doing substantial, like you'll do enough damage to be able to freeze. And it'll also allow you to get a better procs with Trinity, since Trinity works based on the highest elemental damage from a hit, right? And because lightning, through what we're doing with Heft and Raya Atlas, will give us that big broad range, that means that occasionally when it rolls on the lower side, our largest hit will be cold, which means that we'll get 24% more cold and more lightning damage from Trinity. So that's an interesting thing there. And what else is semi-unique? Oh, yes. Also, we're going to be using, this is actually, I'm pretty proud of this. I think this is the best one in the entire game. But Hate Forge, +1 Frenzy. Now we got -10 to maximum rage, and then gain 3 random charges on reaching maximum rage. You can combine that with Nigamahu's Chosen, and when you take fire damage, it'll grant you your maximum rage, which means that this, every time you get with fire damage, you will get 3 charges. So you can use that on top of your other charge generation sources, in particular for Charge Infusion, which you can use to, where's Charge Infusion here? Charge Infusion will give you 21% more crit chance, skill speed, more defenses, and that'll also help with Frenzy generation. If you really want to go ham on that, you can combine it with, where's the amulet here? You can combine it with Serpent's Egg, and Serpent's Egg will actually make it so you get 6 charges each time. If you really want to do something like Giga Charge oriented, you can actually just put on Cloak of Flame, and that'll make it so 40% of your fizz gets taken as fire, and so that'll trigger this like every single time. Or not that one, sorry, this one. We gotta put a belt on. Hey, that's my name. And if you really want to be like over the board or over the top with it, you can actually put on Skull's Bridle too, which I allegedly don't have enough int for, which I will fix here. All right, and then for shits and giggles. All right, so now when we attack, we take a part of our mana as fizz damage. That fizz damage then gets converted to fire damage. That fire damage then makes us gain our max charges, and then the gloves convert it into 3 charges, and then the amulet doubles it into 6. The energy shield is in the way at the moment. One sec. Why isn't this working? Oh, sorry, it's because I have 0 charges on the... There we go. There, actually, I'll turn off Charge Infusion so you can actually see the generation on it. Charge Infusion. Where the fuck did Charge Infusion go? Oh, I guess I don't have it turned on. Alright. There you go. 3 Frenzy, 3 Endurance, 2 Endurance. The frenzies are obviously going to get taken up by the actual attacks themselves. But there, that's one way you can do that. And there's obviously different ways that you can fiddle around with that for charge generation. The Hate Forge I'm not entirely sold on yet. Another thing too that you can do as well is that Wind Dancer counts, the Gale Force counts as a melee hit. So you can put Rage on hit there, as well as get like 1 or 2 Rage on hit gems, like, or maybe just one of them, like this one for example. Where did I put it? Sorry. Where the hell did I put this thing? Oh, there it is. So you can see this one where it's gain 1 rage on melee hit. You can also actually get a suffix, which is gain 2 rage when hit. But the 1 rage on melee hit, you could have that touch multiple notables. Because you have minus 10 rage here, your max rage is 20. So if you want it, probably would want to get it to at least 10 rage on hit. So you can get 1 from the glove jewel, and then you can get 3 from the thing, so that's 4. So if you could get 6 rage on hit elsewhere, then every 2 times Gale Force hit, you would hit max rage. Or you can also do it with gain rage when hit. And with gain rage when hit, the values are much higher. You can actually get that if you want to use. You can get what's it called? The unique gem from nothing with blood magic, and that'll allow you to take 1, 2, 3, 4, which makes you gain 11 rage when you're hit by an enemy. So every 2 times that you're hit, you'll hit max rage, and that'll give you the charges as well. So that's also an option that you can have there. If not using that, then alternative options would be you could put in the gloves that allow you to go to minus 50 on penetration. You could put in the ones where your damage all counts towards electrocution. You could do the ones that allow you to leech energy shield. You could do Hawa, although Hawa is really better for if you're doing Tangle Tongue. A few options there. Anyways, this is a rough draft, but that was what I was thinking for the rage side of things there. Otherwise, nothing super unique on the boots. We'd be doing just move speed. We're doing like a life ES hybrid kind of. So on the chest here, we see we've got 61 spirit, T1 evasion energy shield, T1 life, T1 chaos res, T1 fire res, boots, T1 move speed, T1 evasion energy shield, T1 life, T1 fire res, and then we'll fix up those other 2 suffixes. And then on the rings, you probably do the best ones that you could probably get technically would be, I would think it would be a ring, penumbra, catalyst, attack, and then go fizz damage to attacks, fire damage to attacks, cold damage to attacks, lightning damage to attacks, and flat accuracy. And then for your suffix, would probably go. You'd probably just do whatever you needed here. Dex is good for damage. Int if you're using whatchamacallit. Put strength. Add to build. Compare that to a breach ring here. Yeah, so 294 we go to 300. But a breach ring is obviously, that's quite competitive still. 294 to 300 for a 5 T1 penumbra. That's going to cost like probably multiple mirrors to craft. So the breach ring is definitely a comparable fix there. And then, yeah, with the charms, Ryatlas Coil can have up to 3 charms. You could do the unaffected by slows, and you gain onslaught when you're slowed. The one that gives you your max rage, and then you can also do the one where you gain a frenzy charge on use for the flask, Olrots, and melting maelstrom. And then another thing too that we would be using is a time lost emerald right here, and you can see we've got large on this. Small passives grant 2% penetration, and then your notable passives grant 10% crit bonus, 10% crit bonus. And this one we're going to place right down here. And you can see that it'll make it so that each one of these nodes then gives you an additional 20 crit bonus. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one I have through a Megalomaniac right now, so 6. And we get one for 2.7, so that's 140 crit bonus. But not only that, the small passives will give you penetration. And so you can see we get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16% pen there. And if we went here, we could get 18% pen. You could put the same one right here as well, and you'd be able to get from these 4. So you get 80 crit multi, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get another 14% pen. One of the things that is standard on the build is for people to use that amulet that gives the penetration and a small amount of spirit. And I think that's a waste. Not many people seem to know this, but the highest res mob in the entire game, which is Arbiter, Zesht, and the Trial Master, have 75 all res. or elemental res at least, right? There's no mobs have higher than that. And the way that the game works is any reduced resistances you have from like curses or exposure, reduced res is added first, and that can actually go below 0. But if it doesn't go below 0, penetration is always added second, and penetration cannot go below 0. Now, if you have just conductivity, that's minus 29 to lightning res. And then if you have elevated exposure, that's minus 26. So that's minus 55 reduced res, right? Which means that the most amount of penetration you'll ever need to hit penetration cap on any mob in the game, assuming you have exposure and a curse, is 20 pen. And as I pointed out here, we can get 20 pen from just traveling there. Or if you really want to, you can get it from basically like a single node or 2 prefixes on a jewel, right? Like Flash Storm gives 15%. You can get, another 15% there. You can get 18% there. Lots of different places. Pen is not very difficult to get. Here as well. Pen on cold too. But because of the reduced res, again, not very difficult to hit. And so the jewel here, that jewel will help us get scale our crit bonus, and it will also help us get our penetration. On this one here too, if you have any trouble hitting crit cap, you can also use one like this, where it is 7% crit chance for attacks, 10% crit bonus, and 2% increased accuracy, as opposed to the pen, because the accuracy will increase your base crit vis-a-vis playing the Amazon. And so, yeah, this is the idea I have going right now. It's a brand new character. Thought we'd just put this together. None of these things are like locked in stone. But again, because we have 391 total spirit, you have lots of options, obviously, on this side of things. Right here, I've got lightning spear, obviously, and then we've got infused weapon, cast on crit with sniper's mark, barrage, and conductivity, charge infusion, combat frenzy, herald of ice, wind dancer, Roa mount, and trinity. Again, this was really just me filling in because I didn't want to waste any spirit. There's obviously like near infinite amount of permutations you can kind of fiddle with there. And as well, I also have basically 0 investment on this tree into any defensive nodes. You could obviously do that as well. This was just me trying to, see comparably how high I could get the damage. But another thing you might want to consider too, you want to get Spectral Ward here because your body armor will have somewhere between 900-ish and 1200-ish evasion. So that'll give you a good amount of flat ES. And Crown of Eyes still has around 200 ES. And so this node is still actually quite good. Subterfuge Mask, you'll still get about 400 flat evasion from that. If you really want to too, you can get Bestial Skin, get 100% more evasion from that too. And you could also put some more investment into ES percentage. For example, if I just take this node right here, our energy shield goes from 1800 to 2700. You could obviously get that on like jewel prefixes and stuff too. You could obviously fiddle with that based on your preferences. But yeah, this is just a loose tree that I put together for now. The build, excuse me. Oh, there it is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and so anything else that I missed here? So yeah, the Against the Darkness. Oh yeah, and for Megalomaniac, you can just do ones that are a lot of travel points, so like Lightning Rod, or you can anoint that. Wild Storm. If you have a source of electrocution, electrocution is very good, 20% increased damage taken. I wouldn't recommend getting Pure Power, simply because you have so much increased damage through the spell damage that you're getting through Crown of Eyes. As you can see, Pure Power only gives 1% increase here. Flat damage is also not nearly as important. Hawa, Hands of Wisdom, that is very important if you're using Tangle Tongue, because Tangle Tongue has basically 0 damage on it, right? But even with a perfectly corrupted one here, you can see we have Hate Forge on, right? Hate Forge does nothing on paper DPS, and this only has 4% increased damage over that, right? So 300% or 300 million would go to. Oh, we lose DPS. I don't know how that works, but with the frenzy charge, because we have a max frenzy charge, that's why. Yeah. Another thing too is that PoE really cheeses frenzy charges. It's very unlikely that you're ever gonna have like the max, but if you're trying to like show up on PoE Ninja 2, like look here, 300 million if I take out the frenzy charges. 184 million. So if you want to get higher on PoE Ninja 2, aka trying to think of how I say this politically correctly. If your name looks like it's written in hieroglyphics, you might want to look into that one. But yeah, anyways, that is the overview of what I'm planning here, guys. So I don't know if I will post this on YouTube. If I do, thanks for watching, YouTube folks. Let me know what you think. Again, this is just a rough outline, something I just created the character, something to work towards. Thought it was some cool ideas in there. If you have anything that you think could be improved, or you know, any pushback there, or things that you think I misstated, let me know. And if you're new to the channel, consider subbing if you want to see more. All right, cheers, boys.